I'll bring the stuff here. I don't want to.
Yeah, easy check. All right, first thing we're gonna start with is I'm gonna give y'all. I'm gonna try to give y'all several drills today. That that you can do some on your own and then some with a partner before class whenever you just want to warm up. But these are all good moves for the triangle. This is gonna drive me crazy if I don't turn this off. I'm sorry. I can hear myself talking.
Echo.
Yep. Okay, my bad. So the first thing we're gonna start with is this no hands pummeling drill. All right. So what we want to do is our partner on top. If you're being a good partner, you have hands in the biceps. Okay. And your whole goal is your elbows high. Like we don't want his elbows down here at low because we're not going to be able to actually do the drill. Okay. Your goal, Chad, is just to keep strong posture and keep your hands on my bicep as I start to move around. So my goal here is with no hands to first start creating an angle. So like I can actually start opening my guard and I can start shifting my hips out to a side. Okay. If I need to, I can also plant on his hip or on the mat to shift out further if I need to. Okay. The next thing I want to do is make sure that I point my toes and my knee down towards the mat. I don't want them up here. I want to be pointed down towards the mat. Okay. This is what's going to make it much easier for me to start bringing my knees to my chest and pommeling my foot on the inside. And I'm looking to shoot up and lock my triangle. All right. Or just lock my trap triangle. We're not trying to like finish him now. Right. Next, I can break it up. I can bring it back in. And we can go to the other side. Again, I want to shift my hips out. I can also assist by planting my foot on the floor or in the hip to shift my feet out. Point my knee and my toes down towards the mat. Now I can start bringing my knees to my chest, pommeling up, and looking to lock my trap triangle. Okay? And you can go back and forth. What I want y'all to do is go ahead and do this. I want everybody to get 20 reps apiece on both sides, and then we'll circle back up. So however long that takes, okay?
Can you do it again?
Yeah, so show it again, sure.
Can I see the other side though? So I see what your knee's doing? Or
Yeah. So we mirror both sides, right? So here he keeps good posture, keeps his hands on my biceps. I'm going to start unlocking my guard. I'm going to shift my hips out, point my knee and my toe down towards the mat. If I need to shift it out even more, I can plant this far foot on the mat or on his hip to shift out even further. Okay. Now I want to make sure my knee and my toes are pointed towards the mat, not up. From here, I can bring my knee towards my armpit, pommel to the inside, shoot my hips up, lock my trap triangle. Got that? You got it? Cool. All right. 1, 2, 3. Everybody make some space. We can even just circle up on the white mats. One of my big objectives today is to give you all some drills that you can do by yourself and with partners. So make sure to make a little space, right? You're going to need some space. So first off, you're just like some physical prereqs for triangles. Okay. First off, some feet dexterity. What I mean by that is like I'm pretty sure everyone here can do this. Like just move their hands in opposite directions. Like we do like really like precise type tasks with our hands, right? But when it comes to our feet, we tend to do less precise tasks. And part of getting successful with triangles is the ability to have the dexterity to do things like we were just doing, right? I don't have to do it, I guess. To be able to control and feel where my foot is in space and be able to put it on precisely where I want to put it on my training partner, right? So first thing, we need some feet dexterity. We need the ability to, when windshield wipe our feet, be able to put it where we want to put it. We'll put it there, okay? And I'll give you some drills for this. Secondly, we need to be able to take our knees and flare them away from each other towards the floor. So sit like this, even if you're not like sole to sole like me, even if it's just like kind of heel to ankle here, I need to be able to put my knees towards the floor and put my elbows on the mat. Okay. Like this is going to be one minimum prereq too. Okay. If you struggle with this, what's that?
You got me there.
So then just put your heel to ankle. Now do it. Yeah. All right. You don't have to be like soul to soul. This is a different level. I can't do that. All right. But you just heel to ankle. All right. Okay. So I can't see. Heel to ankle. And then be able to fold my body up, put my elbows on the floor, and not feel like I'm dying. All right. Because think about what triangles are, right? Like as I'm cutting angles, my hips have to be able to open up, right? But generally when we're going for a strangle, it's going to be one of the hips, not both. But if you can do both, then you're going to be able to do one. And then it's also compressing in my body, becoming concave, becoming a ball, like we talk about all the time, being able to break down that posture. Like we don't finish triangles like we're not going to finish triangles like this, right? We're going to be concave. Okay, so that's the idea. Next. All right, so we got feet. We got flaring the knees. We're taking your elbows to the floor. If you struggle with this, if you are well endowed in the waist, you might struggle with this piece, right? Of taking your elbows to the floor. Your stomach might be in the way. The good news is you can you actually have control over that. You don't have control over things like leg length per se, right? If you like really get really good at triangles, maybe if you want to get good at triangles, right? But if you want to get good at triangles and you're a little heavier, you're not able to actually like get around your stomach to put your elbows on the mat and compress, like kind of fold up like this. At least you have that option, right? So there's a common, which is kind of a misconception, but there's a common misconception that you need long legs to be good at triangles. And that's something that like, well, I don't have long legs, so how am I gonna, how's Chad ever gonna be good at triangles, right? But that's a misconception. It actually, you can't really, and you can't change anything about it. So if people believe that's like, well, I guess I'll never be good at triangles. But the good news is, first off, it's a misconception. Secondly, if anything is going to limit you, it's going to be feet dexterity, the ability to take things towards the mat, and the ability, if your stomach is limiting you from getting your elbows forward, then a diet can fix that. You can't change your leg length. All right. Next, being able to bring our knees to our chest. Okay. So we talk about knees to chest all the time in here because it's part of becoming a ball. If you struggle with taking your knees like towards your armpits like this, right, without like a bunch of momentum, if I can't just take my knees towards my armpits, towards my chest, you're going to struggle with this. Again, these are things that you have a lot of control over, right? Most people can do this, and if you're struggling with it through just trying, it's repetition, daily discipline, and doing this for 5 minutes a piece, you can build dexterity to be able to do this. Okay, but we have to be able to take our knees to our chest. Next is actually one that I can't do very well. So you can have some success with triangles and still not be able to do this very well. I'm going to have Seth show the full version. But to some degree, varying degrees, lesser for me, you need to be able to get up to the points of your shoulder and be comfortable, right? I need to be able to get my hips above my head and be up on the points of my shoulders, okay? Most of you probably you might even be able to put your feet on the mat. Apparently, I think this was kind of news to me, but apparently most people can do that with no problem. Like I relax or put my feet all the way behind the mat. That can show what I'm talking about here. I can't do this. This is actually something that I've been working towards for 2 years to be able to do this. I just have some limited mobility in my hamstring thing. But this is a drill that you can do on your own. But that said, you don't have to be able to put your feet all the way on the mat behind your head to be really good at triangles. Because I'm still decent at triangles. Seth's a monster at triangles and has been basically since he started. So go figure, because he can also put his feet all the way over. But that's really it. Like those are like the physical prereqs. And the only one that anyone might really struggle with, that will take more than a few weeks of just daily stretching and like discipline is the diet. And even that, like if you want to get good at triangles, like there's your one incentive to diet a little bit. And if you don't, hey, I'm not fat shaming anyone, which I think actually might be the best. So yeah. So
I think I'm.
I don't know if he's putting it on. All right, so let's talk about some solo pommeling drills, and then we'll move on to some actual submission techniques. So starting off, first off, those are some things just to be mindful of. If you struggle with any of those things, those are some movements to be mindful of that you can just do daily. But also in terms of pommeling and building that feet dexterity, the first thing we're going to start is supine, like on our backs like this, right? And this is where we can all kind of join together and do it. My whole goal here is to be able to move my feet in circles and then move my foot, and then we can change direction. And my whole goal is to just build this mind muscle connection to be able to have the dexterity to do pommeling under pressure. Okay. All right, so this is something you can do. You can be as controlled or as fast as you want to be, but you just want to have some intentionality behind creating these circles and moving them in opposite directions. Okay. When you want to add to this, when this feels like you've got this, you can make it slightly harder. You can sit up, post up on your hands, and now we can do it like this. Okay, just in front of me. And be sure, let's change direction every now and then too. Okay, like this is actually my cerebral direction. Like I'm way better this way. All right. Next, we want to make this even harder. No hands. This is going to require a little more core strength, but we can start to pommel while just balancing with our core. Okay. The last one, this is one I'm probably going to struggle with the most because I need to do this too. If it's not apparent, is getting our hips up, getting up to the points of our shoulders. Okay. And you can pop yourself up with your elbows, and then we can work from here. Okay.
Make sure when you're doing that, do not be on your neck.
Yeah, I'm on my shoulders. I'm not going all the way up to my neck. Make that look, that sucks.
It's like you're squeezing your traps together down the points of your shoulders.
Okay. And you can kind of kickstand your hips with your elbows like this. Okay. And that's like going from easy and getting increasingly harder. Okay. Those are things you can do 3-5 minutes before every class if you want to get really good at triangles. Any questions on those before we move on?
Very good. Stretching exercises for those. Just doing it.
Stretching for the physical stuff. I mean,
Another stretch that might help you is you can take your leg across like this, grab and pull it in. It helps stretch all that out to where you can be like a triangle in a tight spot.
I think being able to have like good hip mobility, one of the main ones that I have always done, or I've done for years now, it's just 90-90. So this is where I have my knee directly in front of me, and I'm trying to make 2 90-degree angles. You can make this harder by starting to like drive your knee into the ground and do some like isometric stretching like that. And then you can also do this a little more dynamically by keeping your hands off the mat, and you can go 90-90, hold for 5-10 seconds, and then come back to your heels and go to the other side. All of that up to the mat with your hands. And this one starts to give you a little more dexterity with the movement and starts to help you open your hips a little more. I think open hips is like probably more important than like knee mobility, even for things like rubber guard and stuff like that. Like if you want to play some sophisticated open guard stuff, like I think hip mobility is probably king there. You can get, I've gotten pretty, I'm not the most mobile guy, but like I've gotten pretty far with just focusing on hip mobility. Any other questions? Cool. All right, so let's recap. Let's recap our front triangle mechanics. All right, so this is just a recap from the other night. So I'm not going to spend the rest of the class on this, but I do want to brush up because it is applicable to what we're about to do after this. So first off, this is the trap triangle. This is our one arm in, one arm scenario. This is the story that all triangles start with. Okay, all triangles always start with one in, one out. Okay, I have one arm in between my legs and one out. Also recap, there are 2 phases of the triangle. This is the trap triangle. I just have my I have his head in his arm and I've got my ankles crossed here, okay? And then there's the second phase, which is the actual submission phase. This is where I start to cut an angle on my partner and start to lock up the senkaku or the triangle, finish him right there. But always be thinking, like, almost never are you just going to land straight here, okay? And if you're trying to go there, you're probably going to make a mistake that's going to help them get out, okay? So always be thinking of this of triangle in phases. Trap triangle, this is a control phase. This is where his early stage defense has to do with trying to posture, and my reaction to that is controlling ability to posture. Okay, I can do this by flaring my knees, bringing them towards my chest as he starts to posture. I can break him down, bring his head to me, and then I can collar tie and start to lock it in place. And now, as I have this, I can start cutting my angles for my phase two. Okay. Finishing mechanics, and then I want to actually drill this. This should be reviewed for most of you who were here Thursday. I think we did a little bit Saturday too. But a couple of key details for getting this finish is, first off, the main thing with triangles is taking as much of the shoulder out of the choke as possible. Okay. So I mean by that, if I were to have everybody come over here, please, so I can demonstrate to one side. Okay. So right now, when I lock my figure four, right now I just have a trap triangle, right? But let's say I go ahead and I lock my figure of four, right? I've got my shoelaces in the knee pit. This is a really, really bad triangle. And it's because you can see all of this shoulder here. My lock is behind the shoulder, and there's all this this shoulder here, which means I don't have nearly the amount of strangulation pressure that I could have. Okay, you might finish somebody here, especially, you know, they don't know what they're doing. You can also start to pull the head and squeeze. You can get a finish here, but like there's good, better, best. Okay. So first off, with the goal of taking the shoulder out, first thing is the bottom half of my strangle leg. So this is my strangle leg, right? The one that's touching his neck. This is my strangle leg. Okay. The bottom half of this needs to be north of the line that connects his shoulders. Okay. So if there's a line go from rear delt to rear delt right here, I want my shin, my calf, the bottom half of my choke leg to be north of it, be parallel with it. Okay, perpendicular to the spine, parallel with that shoulder line. This takes way more of the shoulder out. When I combine this, I used to have to do this whole song, Nick talking the whole time.
He has killer choke.
Yes. All right. So the other side of this is, as I start to cut this angle, I'm also going to bring the inside of my thigh in towards the tricep, and I'm going to point both my feet the same direction. Now watch what happens to his shoulder as I do this. Even before anything's locked, the shoulder's disappeared. It's a magic trick. Okay. Also notice I'm not loose here. My inside of my thigh went to the tricep, and then as I cut that angle, both my feet point the same direction, and my knee is acting as this wedge behind his head. Okay, so even out with no hands and no lock, as he starts trying to posture up, it's pretty difficult. Okay, add in my hand here too. Now he postures up. It's very difficult. Okay. So then this is where we could finish here, right? But this is where he realizes I can't posture. The only thing I have left is starting to try to stack to get up. This is where we continued using our wedge that we have. We're going to allow our knee to cut down. Remember, we ideally want our knee to be below the ear. Right now, mine's a little high. I want it to be below the ear because when I lock my triangle, or when I lock my lock, I definitely want it to be north of the shoulder line, but ideally, I want it to be behind the head. Because now as he postures up, however, like again, he's fighting the lock directly. Okay. He almost chokes himself. Okay. But here, it's not bad, but it can be way better if I can get this lock right here behind the head. Okay. So as he starts to stack, what I'm looking to do is continue to control posture, continue to have my feet point the same direction. And I'm going to allow my knee to cut down below his ear towards his groin, as I've also scooped his leg, and see how I find the back of his head here. right? This is like another, you should be able to do this fairly slowly. Okay, so he starts stacking. I allow my hips to shoot up. See, I can even bring it out here for emphasis. I've got his posture. I'm letting my knee chop down to the groin. I'm controlling his posture with my hand. Then I can start to elevate my hips and lock behind the head. Okay, and that's where you get a really, really tight finish there. Yeah. So you want me to change it?
You're good. I got used
We can tag team. All right, so one more
I
time.
want to see his face.
I know that's a lot, but also it's a review from Thursday, so if you need to rewatch it, please feel free. It's on YouTube. Starting with the trap triangle, this is our drill. Okay. I don't want to be trying to finish people like this. Okay, this is no good. What I want to do is control posture. So his first stage as I have a trap triangle is, oh no, there's a triangle. I'm going to flare my knees. See how I put my shoelaces together and kind of back heel and drive my knees apart. It's kind of counterintuitive because you kind of just want to like squeeze in. But if you drive your knees apart and bring them towards your chest, you get a way better angle because I have way more leverage with my feet up here on the back than I do just squeezing like this. Okay, so I get a way better angle to bring him to me. Once I brought him to me, I'm going to collar time. Next, I start cutting the angle that I need. And the way we'll do this is this knee or this inside of my thigh, my support leg is going to come up towards the tricep. Okay, here. And now, as I start to cut this angle, both my feet the same direction. Bottom half of my choke leg is now in a position. It's above the shoulder line. And my knee is, my support knee is tracking the back of his head. Okay. Next, I can finish here, but more times than not, he's going to start stacking. I'm going to allow my knee to chop down as I always want to occupy the space because I don't want him ripping the arm out, right? So I'm always tracking him with my hips and the inside of my thigh. I do this by keeping my knee on the back of his head as he stacks me. When I'm ready, I can also loop through and grab my own shin if I need to get that extra momentum, and I can finish him right there. Okay? Any questions on that one? All right, let's get at least 10 apiece, and then I want to show you one more thing before we head out. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's circle back up.
Actually,
This one's right here. All right, guys. So first off, so from this front triangle, one of the well, real quick before I get into the second one, I want to make sure that y'all emphasize bringing this hamstring up to the tricep. Okay, so when I have my top lock, I want to make sure that I bring my hamstring to the inside of the tricep. Notice how my knee gets really close to his head. So now as I turn, I'm able to track it much more effectively, right? Like I'm able to keep my knee wedged in towards his head, right? And also, I'm letting go for demonstration, but I should also control his posture this entire time, right? And then it'll be way easier or way harder for him to posture out at this point. All right. Secondly, I want to make sure that as I cut this angle, I should be expecting, once I get to this position, I should be expecting that he's going to try to posture. Okay. So he's going to start coming out. I need to make sure that my goal is to keep him, to keep the lock behind his head. Okay. I don't want it to be on the other side of his head. And I don't want to come so far in that he just starts stacking me and I lose my lock. So once I'm here, I'm going to replace my hand with my inner thigh and chop down. Okay. It's right there. And now, if he's really tough, I can even roll him over into Judikatame. Sometimes this will happen. And I can give him his blue belt. I thought about putting him to sleep, I'm not gonna lie. What if he just like woke up to me, writing the script as I go? You know what I'm saying?
you guys want to say,
So that started 3 years ago, 2021, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Seth was one of the most, the biggest humbling experiences for me where jujitsu became like really real is, what was that, 2022, right when we moved into space. He's been training like a little over a year, about a year and 3 months or so. Right over there, he nearly puts me to sleep in a triangle. And I'm like, and he's 15 at the time. And I'm just like, do I even grapple? And from then on, like his rate of progression, I mean, you might not know, but he grew up, he just pulls guard now, right? Like, he grew up wrestling. And his rate of progression was just, he just has so much natural talent. Went for ADCC last year at the trials. I hope he goes again, right? So, what are you, 18 now, 17? 18? Yeah, so he's still got several years of youth and livelihood in him. So I know he's gonna be leaving us for a couple years. I'm gonna miss him. I know several of you probably will too if you've gotten to know him.
Yes.
But I hope we get to see you again, and you will. Man, he's an inspiration, man. I Seth is one of those people that I use as an example of the effectiveness of jiu-jitsu when I'm talking to people who don't know anything about it. Like, you have no idea. Like, I've nearly been put to sleep by a 15-year-old before. You have no clue what you're talking about, you know? So I hope we get to speak again. Safe travels, brother. And we love you.
I appreciate it. Love you guys too.
Awesome. Now, I do have an actual technique to show you real quick. Right. Sorry, that was just me flying to see the seam of my pants there, trying to make a script up as I go. All right. So one of those common defenses, as soon as I get a trap triangle, his goal is always going to be like, how do I get most of my shoulder into this lock here, and then start stacking, right? So one of his defenses is going to be hiding his arm from me, right there, because now if I do nothing, he can start to pressure up and stack me, and make it very difficult for me to be mobile. Okay, really limit my mobility. Now, if I anticipate this, as soon as he goes to hide, here's the drill. I don't want him getting this back, so I'm going to reinforce this. Okay, and then it's going to be a very similar motion to what we just did on that side. I'm cupping the head. I'm going to start windshield wiping my feet, my feet to the same, make my feet point to the same side. I'm tracking the back of the head. My knees chopping down and grabbing the leg. It's nearly identical. Okay, I'm controlling posture. But now, right here, if I just here, okay, I have a good degree of posture. He tries to posture up. Okay, it's difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. Now, as I start to bring my foot around and cut even more of an angle, I can put my knee on the back of his head. Now I can replace my hand with my thigh, and now I can lock up right here. And this is going to be Hantai Senkai. Okay, and if you get this right, when you get a good angle, I think this might be the worst in terms of strangulation pressure. It's the one. It's the one that sucks most to me. Okay, so he goes to hide. I'm going to control his posture. I don't want him getting this back, so I'm going to put something here to slow him down. Control posture. I start to cut my angle. My feet point the same direction. My knees got to start coming down so that my hips can actually rotate around. And now my knee comes to the back of the head, and I start locking my lockup right here on the outside of the shoulder. And that'll be my tap right there. All right, that's called Hantai Senkaku, or opposite triangle. Okay, because it's like the wrong way. Okay, so let's drill that one a few times. We're gonna do that one again Thursday. I just wanted to kind of like give you something new that wasn't from last Thursday. And then we're gonna go over 5 minutes. Okay, I apologize in advance. We're gonna go over 5 minutes. After this, we're gonna do one more partner drill, just so you have it in your back pocket, because then you can warm up next class with it. Okay. Any other questions? You doing one more time? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we have our trap triangle. Okay. So as soon as I get this, he starts hiding his hand. I want to make sure that I slow him down from bringing that back, because as soon as I collar time here, he might be privy to what I'm about to do and start trying to get it back. Okay. So I just want to slow him down. Now, as I start to cut this angle, I'm going to be swimming from the elbow under the leg, just like we did on that side. My knee's gonna start chopping down. And right here, notice I've got, I still, it's very similar in terms of the mechanics to the other side, okay? If he starts posturing up right now, it's pretty difficult, okay? And it's gonna get even more difficult once I get my leg to the back of his head. Now, even with no hand, he's gonna have a pretty hard time posturing up, okay? I can grab my own foot, lock my triangle right there, and that'll be my tap. All right, you see it?
I was just trying to see which part of it is. Is it your other thigh on this part of the thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't feel bad if you struggle with this one. This is by far the hardest of the set.
Yes.
This is the most.
It's kind of weird at first, and then when you get it, you're like, oh, okay, this is, it really is very similar in terms of your, like what you're doing.
Like there's more
Your
of a shoulder.
movement is very similar to the classic front triangle that we just did.
It's like there's more of the shoulder involved, just
Yes,
more than you want.
yes.
Which is, even when he's demoing, he's having to partly get him assist with the hand on the lock. So it's not easy, but can be done.
Yeah, yeah, and if you get it, it's really tight. And it might be a little easier to lock actually too when they're not just stationary. Just because they open themselves up a little more.
Yeah, for a quick one.
But anyway, everybody get at least 5 of those a piece. It's just like to give you a tasting, and then we'll go more in depth on Thursday. And then I want to do one more drill, just so y'all can warm up with it throughout the rest of the week. All right. All right, 1, 2, 3. Great drill for you if you want to do this before class.
It's just an inversion drill. So this is gonna get you used to inverting and finding those strap triangles. So the first thing we're gonna do is partner on our knees. And if you're the top guy, if your only job is to like keep a strong trunk, like stay strong, all right? My job on bottom, lock wrist, first thing I'm gonna do is start to bring my knees to my chest, right here. I haven't even made contact yet. I've reduced the friction with the mat though, right? Now I'm gonna take my heels, my feet to his armpits. From here, I'm able to bring one across and penetrate through the armpit with my heel. Okay, don't go like foot or toes deep, go heel deep. And now, because he keeps a strong trunk, I'm able to spin underneath, bringing my knee pit up to back of his shoulder and bringing my other knee up to the trap and clamping down to find my trap triangle. Once I hit here, I let go of the other hand and continue to spin around and cut my ankle. Okay. One more time. He's got a strong trunk, locked wrist, knees to chest, feet in the armpits, penetrate through the armpit with my heel, and I'm going to start to use this to back heel, bringing my knee up and this knee pit to the trap. Okay, lock my trap triangle. I let go of that other hand in that transition from here, right there. Okay.
We don't have to do it right now. You can go out to the open mat, but I just wanted you to go ahead and put that in your head. Go ahead and try a few reps if you want. And then that's just something you can warm up while we're doing all these triangles. You can be warming up before class with that. Okay. Any questions? Cool. All right. Let's get some rolls in. If y'all have any other things you want to go over, I'll be here for an hour. All right. 1, 2, 3.